Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and back from the land of the dead, well, almost, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and just like Krypton, I have nothing in common with Superman.
And of course, Mr. Sean Keenan.
I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing.
Oh, and we've gotten...
But you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that watching the show, you know that thing on Reddit now where like people post pictures of their people post pictures of like their grandmothers when they were young and hot and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That I could totally imagine someone on Reddit just sweeping up by going, "Hey guys, this is Superman's great granddad when he was young. Upvote, please," like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we've taken a little, if you listened to last week's show, which we know you did, or you should have at least. We were going to talk about the last half of Happy, but boy, oh boy, something on Syfy caught our eye and said, you know what? You need to put off that Happy because that Happy is going to be there. You can come back to that. But what you really need to do is tell the masses what to think about the new pilot, Krypton, available on Syfy. You know, we've all sat back and asked ourselves, man, oh man, what about Superman's great-great-grandfather?
That's what it's all about.
And what do you think of what? So, first of all, it's really I know how you prepare for shows, Adam, where you just get into it. There's no preparation. But basically, what you just said to everyone is, we're going to tell you how you should think of the TV show Krypton. That's basically what you just said.
Oh, but hey, do you not believe that we are tastemakers, sir?
No, I don't. I think we're too old to be tastemakers. And anyone who's listening to you and me and Bruce talk about, like, look, this is straight up garbage. Like,
hey, guys.
Maybe you need to get your priorities better.
My dad follows our recommendations pretty closely on what he decides to view.
See?
Tastemakers.
There you go.
We are.
So Syfy, send us a couple dollars and we'll say good stuff.
Well, that's what we said over.
That's how that goes.
That's what we said over at the Film Find. Is like we said, like, look, hey man, we're the first people to tell you if someone wants to pay us, we'll review whatever you want and give it a great shining star. We make no qualms about that because as of yet we're making no real money. But if you want to say, hey, review this movie, great, throw a little bread our way, and we'll go, ooh, this is really great. So when we smash things,
then Adam will chip a tooth.
Then I'll chip a tooth and then flush all that money down the toilet. That's how that goes. If you don't understand shut up.
I'm still waiting for that check from AMC.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. They honestly, AMC just should be kissing our butts a little bit at least. But speaking of which, about the tooth and everything, if you want to know what that is in reference to, how about you head on down to patreon.com/HMP and join the, I believe, 35 others that are helping support this here program. You'll get a pre-show, post-show, and all that kind of good jazz. And I'm coming up with ideas for new merchandise and stuff for everything that we do. So hit us up at hearmoviepodcast@gmail.com if you have any ideas or anything else like that.
Guys,
and, we'll get on
I know
that.
it would be the perfect reward.
All right.
Yes.
We should do like a sexy fireman calendar only with us.
Let me go do some push-ups.
Just give me a cannoli, a hoagie, and I'll take off my shirt.
Let me brush up on this Photoshop.
That'd be great. Just nothing but pictures of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in different poses with Adam's head on it.
I like to think that I don't even go like normal. I just take that what you call it there, Burt Reynolds pictorial from Cosmopolitan 25 years ago.
The one with the Sharpay.
Yes, and then just put my head right on that and be like, there you go.
And we're gonna give Sean David Hasselhoff's body, but not young Hoff, the older Hoff.
Where he's
That's about right, actually.
on the floor eating a sandwich.
And here's the weird thing: I would spend hours on Photoshop putting my head on those boudoir photos of George Costanza.
Hey, that'd be a step up for me. I'm not gonna. Anywho, but if you'd like to get those things and more, boy, what a pitch we've got for that. Like, hey, do you want this? Here's the deal. If you don't want that to happen, head on down to patreon.com.
Or else we're gonna knock on everybody's door and show you our calendar.
Links are in the show notes below. All right, so you know, we said we were going to do Happy. We decided to go a little bit of a different route, and boy, oh boy, did we go a different route. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the trailer for Krypton.
This cape belongs to your future grandson. He will become the greatest hero in the universe. You have to save your world. You have to save your legacy.
The story of my family is one of triumph and sacrifice. How we led a revolution against tyranny. Now it falls on my shoulders to save my world.
Someone from the future is coming to destroy Krypton. Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero of the universe.
The story of my family isn't about how we died. It's about how we lived.
The blood of House L will always bind us together.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Krypton. We'll be reviewing the pilot this week. Here's the IMDb plot line. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. The untold story of Superman's grandfather as he fights for justice on his home planet. Doesn't that just sound like something we all make up and just be like, hey, you know what? What about his grandpa? But, you know, we have to find out a little bit more about this. We all know who Superman is, but let's see if he's got a little bit of something else in his pocket. Let's bring this up. Oh, come on, guy. Every week.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, what do you got for us?
In 1957, DC Comics editorial director Irwin Donenfeld held a meeting with Julius Schwartz and asked him to create a new science fiction-based superhero, someone in the same vein as Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. Schwartz got busy getting busy and came up with a Strange character, and by Strange, I mean Adam Strange. He conceived the idea of an Earthman repeatedly traveling to a planet in the Alpha Centauri star system using a zeta beam altered by space radiation, and named his character Adam after the first man on Earth, according to the Abrahamic faiths. And since Adam Strange was the first Earthman on another planet, he thought it worked. That Adam trope gets used a lot, it seems like, and to be honest, I never liked people named Adam. But anyway,
Can't blame you.
Schwartz then assigned the scribing of the stories to Gardner Fox, a comic book legend, and the penciling to Mike Sikowski, who sounds like a character from that Monsters movie. And in the 1980s, Alan Moore wrote a retcon of Adam Strange's reason for his visits to Rann. In this retcon, the population of the planet, the majority of whom view the Terran with contempt, is sterile, and Adam Strange is taken to Rann to be used as a breeding stud. So, when you guys were watching Krypton, what did you think were the chances I'd work Alan Moore into the comic book connection?
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised.
Why
but
did I even bother asking? You guys know it's always a possibility. So let's learn a little bit about who Adam Strange is. Strange is an archaeologist who was suddenly teleported from Peru on Earth to the planet Rann through a zeta beam. You may not know this, but zeta beams are believed to be the cause of over 80% of missing persons cases. I know I used the old zeta beam excuse a couple of times when I got busted for staying out past curfew. But back to the story. Upon his arrival, Strange is attacked by one of the planet's predators and rescued by a dark-haired woman called Alana. She takes him to her father, Sardath, who explains that the Zeta beam was transmitted at Earth in hopes that whatever form of intelligent life lived there would trace it back to Rann, and theorizes that in the 4.3 years it takes the Zeta beam to reach Earth, It was altered by space radiation into a transportation beam. He was called on to protect the planet from extraterrestrial threats using Rand's technology, and Adam Strange grew to care for the planet and its inhabitants, especially Alana. Eventually, the effects of the beam wore off and automatically returned Adam Strange to Earth at the exact point of departure, but not before Sardath had given him a schedule of beam firings to allow him to periodically return to the planet. Using mathematical calculations, he was able to determine the exact time and precise locations at which the Zeta beams would arrive. He travels the world and intercepts them to defend Rand and to be with Alana. As far as I'm aware, Zeta beams never went to Krypton, but when has something as frivolous as comic book canon deterred David Goyer? Also, in something like 2,200 appearances, Adam Strange, to the best of my knowledge, has never worn Magnum P.I.'s baseball cap. I can't fault the guy. We all know that Tom Selleck is as cool as a refrigerated cucumber. I'm just saying it never happened. Do you know what Adam Strange did wear? He wore a really cool and campy 1950s style spaceman outfit, a red one complete with a jetpack. Tell me that wouldn't have added some much needed fun to this episode. Of course, they probably didn't have the budget for an awesome bitchin' campy spaceman costume. That would have set him back like at least $800. But if they need ideas on where to come up with the money in the budget, call me, because good old Bruce can be your line producer. I think you can cut Goyer's pay down to zero and the show won't suffer one single iota. And then I typed out LOL.
I like how he types his own reactions to his. You know what's hilarious? This.
Why does it say pause for laughter? It's so great. If we can just hop right in to the episode. So when Adam Strange shows up, I immediately know that everything about this show is exactly what we thought it was going to be. Because, at first there was kind of a bit of like, well, there's not a whole lot about, or at least there's not a whole bunch that I know about Krypton. I know about Kandor City. I know about Mon-El. I know about a couple other things, but I don't really know a ton about Krypton. But Adam Strange, I know Adam Strange.
Oh man, are you ready to have your Earth shattered, Sean?
What?
Mon-El's from Daxam, not Krypton.
Oh no! Oh no!
He's even got an L in the name. It throws us for a real curveball.
Oh no! Shattered. I thought he was yet another Superman long lost cousin. But when Adam Strange shows up and he looks the way he looks, and he's wearing that Detroit Tigers hat, and he looks like the kid from Final Destination 2, I was like, oh man, this is exactly what I thought we were getting, and this is awesome. And like I said in the pre-show today, this show, if it was in a room by itself, there was no other superhero properties going on at the time. If it was, something where like, oh man, finally a superhero show came out and it's just Krypton, I would be furious. But I love it. And I hate this show. I hate it, but I love how much I hate it. And so I can already tell you that I'm going to watch more episodes of this show, even if we don't have to, but I'm going to watch it with like laughter, where I'm going to be like, I can't believe it. Like when Denzel Washington starts laughing because he's
Heidi, get in here! You gotta see this.
Yes, exactly, and that's what we've got here. It's one of these shows. It's one of the shows where like it's what a lot of people who hate comic book movies think comic book movies are. Yeah. This is it. This is the actual thing. It's great.
Man, and I don't understand why they did the whole hooded sweatshirt Detroit Tigers hat for Adam Strange, because his whole gimmick is that he's a spaceman. He travels in space. Like he knows how to dress appropriately for interstellar travel. So why does he look like the Unabomber as a sports fan?
Because Brucey's not from that world, man.
Traveler?
And why not just use Booster Gold?
Exactly.
He's not from that time era, man, and no other better way to tell you than with a modern day MLB hat on his head. Ooh, boy, Goyer strikes again.
Of course, the Tigers haven't changed their logo since 1913, so.
Yeah, but it's clearly a brand new hat that is just like fresh off the shelf. Somebody went down to the team store and picked one up.
Oh man, I love it. Before he travels through space and time, he's got to get a cap.
We went to Lids. We've got your costume.
No, that's exactly how this thing worked. And get you a couple more, layers to put on, and then boom, spaceman. That's how it works.
Oh man, just think how much more fun it would have been if he had like the actual Adam Strange costume.
Well, it would be. You're right, but
all red.
You're absolutely right. It would be a lot more fun. But that is not the show that we have here. Like the show that we have now is like, hey, you know what everybody wants to see? They want to see Superman's granddad wearing something that looks like he's an American gladiator.
Exactly. Oh man, and all of a sudden the Zod family, I don't know, the Zod family gets really odd treatment in this too.
Yeah, that's another huge misstep to me because what very little I know about the canon of Krypton is that the Zod family is all they're militaristic, correct?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but because they do have a little bit of that in here, but the militaristic part that they are is like, like no fun ever. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're like. And so to have this family be like, you know what, we know you're one of the good ones, like that kind of like it just doesn't ring true. Although I had to look this up today. I see that this is completely outside of the DC universe. Like there isn't anything in this show that's going to make it somewhere else. So basically what they've told Goyer is go crazy, go bananas.
And he did, man. Next episode, it's Detroit hats all around. Like the new trend in Krypton is because somebody saw the homeless dude with the Detroit Tigers hat. Now
that looks pretty dope, dude. I'm gonna go get one of those. Where's the latest? Where's the closest lids at?
And one of the weirdest things about this show is that it's getting good reviews. Like it's not. Let me start over. So when it comes to people like us, who want great superhero properties, we hate this show. But when it comes to the TV critic for Entertainment Weekly, like he's like, hey, this is a pretty fun show. And it seems to be that it's about like 50-50 and there's enough viewership to the show where they're probably going to pick it up because it's getting arrow numbers,
Yeah.
And so there are chances that you won't even know that the show is still on TV and it's still going.
Yeah, because Winona Earp's on pretty strong footing on Syfy with 800,000 people watching. So, I mean, they don't need big numbers to keep something going.
Well, this got 1.3.
Yeah.
But
and
the
for
big
Syfy,
thing,
that's massive.
Yeah, but the thing is also, this looks like it's probably one of their most expensive shows to produce, too.
I don't know, man. It doesn't look well. You guys would know more about the business than I do, but it doesn't look as well lit, as well shot as things like Happy or Channel Zero. It actually kind of looks like what I expect to see on Syfy. Most
of mine is from a CG standpoint. There's a boatload of CG in this show, and that's where the real money could end up coming down on this, and what may hamper it. Perhaps if they.
But Adam, you're forgetting that this is the pilot. Like there isn't going to be nearly as much CG.
That's a good point.
For the rest of the season, and now they have their sets created, so they're going to have there's going to be a whole lot of stuff happening in that chamber that they built.
Yeah, it's like we said on Greatest American Hero when that awesome ship came in, and it's like that's where they spent all of their budget was on that sweet ship, and the rest of the season they're just like, we got to hold the rest of this show together with duct tape. This may be that case as well. You're right.
Exactly.
Man, I'll tell you what, though, if you asked me, like, before watching it and just kind of, I went in with my preconceived notions that it was going to be a lot of, about the political maneuvering on Krypton and the battle between the House of El and the House of Zod is what I expected, and that's not what we got. But I would have never thought it would feature prominently 11 fistfights. Because, man, this is, a lot of fistfights for a movie about Krypton.
Yeah, since it's a science-based culture. Whole lot of throwing down. The thing that surprised me the most is the religious aspect to the show. I don't I get why it's the culture that we live in now, that of course you need to have a baddie, and so why not have some weird religion be the bad guy? It makes sense. But for Superman, it's like Superman. It's like Jor-El riding a dragon to me. You know, like I don't want to see that. You know, but you also can't have it look like an Apple store.
Man, I will tell you that when that voice of Rao, religious leader, walks in with that gold mask with faces in every direction, it seriously felt like something from a classic 70s sci-fi that I liked and everybody else hates, like a Logan's Run or a Zardoz kind of thing. Like, it really has a 70s sci-fi feel to it. Not the good 70s sci-fi. I'm not talking Star Wars here. I'm talking like all that other stuff.
No, I know, because immediately what I thought of in the chamber is Battlestar Galactica. It looks like the original series chamber of Battlestar Galactica, not, you know, the one from Syfy that everybody adores, including myself.
Yeah, we're talking Gil Gerard, not Katie Sackhoff.
Right, and there's going to be, Gil Gerard's...
he was Buck Rogers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Dirk Benedict? Yeah, Dirk Benedict. Sorry, I got my spacemen confused.
Hey, everybody, mark the date. I was able to correct Bruce Leslie on something.
Well, we've reached a stellar moment here on the show that no one before, perhaps, nor will ever again see again. So
Dear
mark
diary,
this down.
Today it happened.
I bested Bruce.
So and you're right, but I think that is probably where they're headed too. And I also think that there's going to be like a big reveal on who is under that three-faced mask. I think that we're going to be like, what? It's been that person all along?
The Joker.
This show could use some Joker. I'm not going to lie. Listen, I'm not going to say it's going to make sense, but
I think that where we're at with the show right now is week after week they're going to do something where you're like, are you kidding me? And I'm going to threaten to never see the show again and then watch it again next week.
I would like for every week them to have a different DC character travel through space and time to talk to Superman's grandpa, but always in boring street clothes with a generic actor, so they just have to give him the name. Like, it's basically the Adam Strange treatment, but somebody shows up, hey, I'm Hal Jordan. And then somebody shows up, hey, I'm Barry Allen. Somebody, it's a different superhero.
Idea.
But always just in a baseball cap and a hoodie, and they don't have any powers on display.
Hi, I'm Lois Lane, and she's wearing a Minnesota Twins beanie or something.
Then for no reason,
Waller.
And then for no reason, they grab their leg after the conversation starts.
I'm Ambush Bug.
Ambush Bug would fit in so perfectly in this show.
Don't feed him
Erwin
that.
Schwab. He claimed he was from Krypton, and his son's name was Mongrel.
That's not as bad a name as Superman's granddad.
What's his name?
Seagal.
Skank Vex or something?
It's Seagal.
Oh, yeah, Segal. I was thinking Skank for a minute. I don't know why. What about the quirky friend in the bar?
I think that there's going to be something more to that person. I would not be surprised if he's the three-faced man.
Now that would be a reveal I wouldn't see coming. I felt like they were really, really trying to make us think that he's sort of an Alan Tudyk type character, but he's not.
It feels more like he's going to be the bad influence down the road where, finally Seagal is getting his stuff together and he's finally figuring it all out. And then in walks in his bartender ne'er-do-well friend. He's like, hey, let's go poop in a rooftop, like that kind of thing.
I think he's Styles from Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
The movie, not the MTV show.
The good one.
Yeah.
So Teen Wolf 2.
He's going to take Segal surfing on a van. Adam Strange is going to bring a Ford conversion van back to Krypton next time.
So I did the, just reading up on this show this week. I guarantee you that when Goyer came up with the name for Superman's granddad, he was like, oh, you've done it again. Goyer, you magnificent so-and-so, you've done it again. Because he named Superman's granddad Siegel over Jerry Siegel. First Jerry Siegel. See,
you
get it?
Clever.
Is it?
And meanwhile, Schuster's rolling over in his grave. Where's my character?
Well, I'm guessing that there's going to be another person showing up from like the house of Tor.
He's gonna he's gonna be the Mr. Belding of the series, I think. You just have to. You just gotta wait to the right moment.
Oh man, how awesome would it be if the voice of Rao takes off his mask and it's Dustin Diamond?
Hi everybody. Oh boy.
Stabbed a man, still got work.
I look. This show could use some Dustin Diamond. That's going to be the joke of the show, I think. But there's a lot. There's a lot of things in this show that made me just shake my head and wonder. Like, wow, amazing! And you got all this money for this Goyer. I can't believe that you have fallen so far upward with all of your garbage writing. That you keep falling up, and now you are a showrunner to a show where they're like, listen, we're just going to let you go bananas. Go ahead and go bananas. However, the one thing that I love about this show, and I'm sure that they're going to punt it and it's going to be awful, but when they reveal Brainiac, that is the right character. And we've been saying for years, that is the character that they should have had as the big baddie for one of these Superman movies.
Yep. And I got to tell you, I don't like many things about Goyer, but I think they treated Brainiac well here in the pilot. Of course, there's plenty of time to ruin it, but I really like the way they depicted him as an entity and not just a person. Right. They did do that right.
It's more like that one run, isn't it? Where I can't remember the run now, but Brainiac is like scary.
Yeah. There's been a couple like that with all the I don't know, the metallic bands coming out of his head and his body. I mean, it looked really like this particular run that I liked in the comics from, I don't know, maybe circa 2009, something like that.
Right. Yeah, and that's it's like Reign of the Superman and all that stuff too. Like it's around there. I'm sorry, not Reign of the Superman. But it's when everybody gets released from Kandor City. That same writer. I can't even remember who it is right now. But it's that run. And that Brainiac is my favorite version. And as much as you love the Super Friends, I know that you equally love that one commercial they ran on Cartoon Network for a million years where he's like, all I want is pants. A decent pair of pants.
Yes.
So I'm glad that they don't have that version of Brainiac here.
Yeah. And I kind of like the one that looked like the Terminator underneath of all his skin, too. That was the one they made the action figure of for Superpowers.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Like 80s Brainiac. Yeah.
Yeah, like 85, circa 85.
Yeah, and that's around the same time, too, where there were, like, John Byrne has completely tried to reboot the DC universe because DC knew at the time, look, guys, like we have, like everybody is the exact same, just in different costumes. That was cool.
Yeah. And I like the challenge of the Super Friends cartoon show, or the Superpowers Galactic Guardians cartoon show. That's the one I meant.
Right, because that's the one that the Cyborg and Firestorm shows up in.
Yeah, that was the final incarnation of Super Friends before it went off the air.
That was cool, but I can remember having a hard time finding it. Like, it wasn't on the same time all the time.
Yeah, it was still a Saturday morning show, but it started coming on, like, at noon, so some channels would be showing sports and stuff instead. Like, it came on at the end of the cartoon block, so it wasn't on every week.
Right. And just to get back to Krypton, because I know that we're hopping all over the place, but did you have any anger while watching this, Bruce?
No. And by the way, I just found the whole time we were talking. Actually, I had a lot of anger, but the whole time we were talking, I was looking for this hardcover Superman Brainiac comic that I have. And it's actually written by Jeff Johns. That's the Brainiac I really like. So go figure. I really like something written by Jeff Johns. But it's got the picture of the Brainiac that looks the most like the one we see on this show on the cover. Art by Gary Frank. Can't find the year on it, though.
You know who's not bad? That William Shakespeare fella. You know, he ain't got bad work, that guy.
Yeah.
But you didn't. But you didn't get angry at all. But so you did get angry watching the show then.
It's not fair to say that I didn't really get angry because I didn't let the show have that kind of power over me, but I rolled my eyes.
Sure.
Yeah, it was more of an eye roll than any kind of anger.
And what's the most eye roll inducing moment? Is it the Adam Strange moment?
That was one of them, but probably the most eye roll was when they revealed that the person who stabbed Lita Zod through the hand was her mother. That was like, oh boy. Yeah, that's one where I could see Goyer just sitting in the room pumping his fist. Yeah, this'll get him. This'll get him.
Man, there's no way that Goyer has anything to do with the day-to-day operations of that show.
You know what I picture Goyer as? I picture Goyer as like Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games, but behind a typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
Just going at it.
I like it.
Just going, this is gonna be the best. And it's like, no, it's really.
And
not.
I like the way that they killed off Seg's parents in the first episode. Like when they got cast, this actor and actress think, oh, we got a steady gig now. Then they get the script.
Well, those two actors, I mean, they're too big. They're too big time to have like major roles in the show. They can't afford these two actors for each episode. They're, the one guy is from V for Vendetta, and she is on every single show ever, including Sons of Anarchy, and they're character actors, and they're very good character actors. But there's no way they're going to be able to afford those prices.
Yeah, we've got Patty Segal and Hugo Weaving here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
Patty Segal. I don't know their names. I don't know their names. I had to make something up.
I'm not saying they're big time, but I mean, they've both done a ton.
Yeah, big time for this show. Big time for this show.
Yeah, I mean, the woman who plays the mom plays Katniss's mom in Hunger Games. I mean,
and I'm going to give you guys a scenario to discuss. We'll have to quickly go return a phone call from the hospital. But
yes.
Talk a little bit about what you thought about this lady that was so quickly betrothed to Seg-El and the whole scene where they get to see the future of their genetic offspring.
Well, I will, if I may start.
Oh, please.
I think that character is going to end up being one of the major bads on this show. I think that she is. They're setting it up quite nicely where the turn's going to happen probably in the 5th episode, because this is a 10-episode season of Krypton, and they're going to have the thing happen where like you've been messing with someone else all along, like that thing's going to happen, and then it's going to turn bad, and she's basically going to be almost like a Lex Luthor archetype, where they've known each other and they were friends first kind of a thing, and then she's a major baddie, which works well. Like, I think that could be interesting. I think that they'll completely punt it. I think it'll be terrible, but at least the machine is there to make something cool.
Yeah, I feel like with Goyer, there's a distinct possibility of like, but check this out, the bad guy, it's a lady. Oh, how about that, everybody? Did we do something that's different? Yeah, I guess you did. Sure. This whole thing, it kind of, and maybe I'm wrong, and we'll talk about it probably a little later, but I mentioned Shakespeare not only just to make fun of Goyer, as we often do on this program, but it felt like a little Capulet and Montague kind of stuff going on with all the houses and like, you gotta love this lady, but not this one, and all that. Who cares?
Well, I think they're setting that up because, again, I really do believe that in the pitch meeting, Goyer literally said to the execs at Warner Brothers, it's like Game of Thrones, but with Superman. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised that, because as I said earlier, doing the due diligence on this show this week, that they have a 7 to 8 season arc. That it wouldn't surprise me at all that that the entire thing ends with the birth of Kal-El,
Yeah, but at the same time too, it's just like I think almost any show that starts out with a giant like, hey man, we know this, and like we have this whole thing, and here's our giant plan for everything, is bound to just die a fiery death. because I think most of the show, like, because like I think when you got like the Breaking Bad initially, right? Vince Gilligan's thing was
I'm back.
Good. So when you started Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan's thing was Mr. Chips to Scarface, right? But they didn't know all the beats and everything in between for that entire series. They didn't know where that was going to go.
No, not at all. Because the way that Gilligan writes, he writes for the season. He doesn't write for the entire show. But I think that when I say that the 7 to 8 season arc, I don't think that our season complete storylines. I don't think that they have it totally fleshed out.
No. Yeah, it's obviously all just very, big, broad strokes and everything. But I just feel it's a good idea. But I think when you do things like that, you're almost setting yourself up to be doomed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or if, I don't know, maybe season 2, it's all about Mr. and Mrs. Pidlick's great-grandfather.
Oh, man, how great would that be?
It's my great-great-grandpappy.
Well, the two things that they've revealed is that they've got Brainiac, and they're going to bring in Doomsday.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because Doomsday is a creature that went through so many incarnations of regeneration on Krypton over like 100,000 years or something crazy like that. So there is a version of Doomsday that could show up on season 2 there.
Well, I think, and I like that idea. I think that's a cool idea. Just knowing the backstory to Doomsday, that they could do a great job. They won't, but they could do a great job.
I love your confidence. They won't, but they could.
Well, because it seems they seem to do the same. They seem to make the same mistake.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but if they bring Doomsday into season 2, I hope they just bring over the rubber suit from Smallville. Like write a check to the old WB. And get that rubber suit from Smallville because it would fit in perfectly on this show.
I have a terrible secret to that I have to admit to everyone on this show tonight.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I have never seen a single second of Smallville.
You're not missing much.
I was about to say, you could stand to watch 2 or 3 episodes and you'd get it.
Just go onto YouTube and type in Smallville Doomsday, Smallville Dr. Fate, Smallville Blue Beetle, Smallville Booster Gold, and you'll see like 15-minute clips for each of those, and that's all the good stuff from 11 seasons or whatever of Smallville.
Oh, very good.
It's more of the, okay, so let's talk about this because this is like because you bring up Smallville, and then we have this and stuff. Why is it that we feel that we have to that we can't just do Superman? That we have to do everything that's around Superman? Like, where did Superman come from?
It's like,
what did he
eat
eat
for
for breakfast?
I think it's a Gotham deal. I think it's like the same way Fox got Gotham. It's like DC will give you part of the property, but they won't give you what they're holding on to because it's worth more than what you can afford. You follow me? Like they've already done Smallville once, but now that they were trying to do the DCU, they had to pitch a Batman show without Batman. And Gotham's on season 4 on Fox, which is broadcast, which has to have pretty good ratings to get to season 4. So they're like, hey, Batman without Batman worked. How about Superman without Superman?
And the way that Fox works, Fox will probably keep that for way longer because Fox has 2 modes. We're going to keep you forever and never cancel you, or we're going to cancel you way before we should have, before you found an audience.
Well, the other part to this, too, to expound on what you just said, Bruce, is that, it's a win-win for DC. Because if they come up with something great on the show, then now they have another great thing that they can use in their canon. What I'm thinking of when it comes to this is how we got Lex Luthor in the first place, how we got Harley Quinn in the first place. That didn't come from the comic books. And so they have nothing to lose by like, hey, why don't you guys work on this? And if it's terrible, it's terrible. No harm, no foul. But maybe you come up with something great.
And I'm kind of surprised. Well, I guess Warner Brothers owns Syfy, right?
I think so.
I do not know the answer to that.
I feel like they do, but I feel like a lot of things that aren't right. So who knows? But I'm kind of surprised because initially, Warner Brothers definitely owns TNN or TNT or whatever it's called. Is it TNT? Because that's where they were going to put Teen Titan or the Titans TV show that I guess now is going to be like web only, which means I don't know who's going to watch it. I feel like this
Syfy is owned by NBC Universal.
Oh, so absolutely not Warner Brothers then.
Yeah.
Okay, well there goes that idea. I don't know how it made its way to Syfy. It's kind of like, how did Constantine end up on NBC? I don't get it.
Well, it's the deal. It's the TV deal. Like, oh, you're going to give us X amount of money to show this on here. Like, let's do it.
It kind of tells me they didn't have enough faith to put it on the CW, so they sold it. You know what I mean? Because like, I can understand putting Gotham on Fox because you're going to get more money selling a program to Fox than you will broadcasting it on CW. But selling a show to Syfy is going to be less money than putting it on the CW, but you don't have to invest in it. So I feel like it was something they didn't have faith in, but thought it was worth a flyer, you know?
That's an excellent crackpot theory. I think you're right.
And, you know, it's like that Titan show. They didn't put it on the CW. You know, they were going to give it kind of its own universe, and it was going to be on TNT, which, you know, not great, but at least it's on TV, and they cast it and stuff. And then it kind of got canceled. And the next thing I heard is maybe a web. I didn't even know that Warner Brothers had a streaming service.
Oh, everybody's got a little something on the side. They may not call it like, you know, Hulu, but you know, everyone's got, like, from what I understand of, like, I mean, even with like things like Cartoon Network and stuff, and like, or they have so much online streaming stuff that unless you're there, you don't even know exists.
Yeah, because that's where they show like the Super Best Friends or whatever, the new kind of Super Friends type deal that they made. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a new like Justice League show that's streaming only. The Superhero Girls show, I think, is streaming only, which is sad. That really should be on Cartoon Network. And then I guess if this Titan show exists, it'll be streaming. It's like the Star Trek thing. If you're going to make it streaming only and it's not on like a major streaming service, I'm not going to see it unless Adam sends me a nefarious download.
What are you talking about?
I think that there's a couple of properties that if WB was going to start their own streaming service, they certainly could, but they would need something to get people to buy it. And you know, CBS did a smart move by putting both their new Star Trek show and The Good Fight on their streaming service, because those are two shows where, you know, they had voracious audiences. And so, shoot, we got to buy this. Okay, well, it's $10 a month. Okay, fine, we'll buy it.
And I like the weird thing. Warner Brothers has multiple streaming services, but none of them seem like a fit for Titans or would be a fit for this show. Like, they have the Cartoon Network streaming service, which is real popular, but mostly with younger viewers. They have the CW Seed, but you know, that tends to the little more melodramatic. So maybe Krypton would have been fine on CW Seed, but you know, the main thing that I know of from CW Seed is just the Vixen animated show. They got other stuff, but I don't watch it. So they already have plenty of streaming. So it's weird. Instead of creating a new one, I think it would make sense for Warner Brothers to consolidate a little bit and just take Cartoon Network and CW Seed and whatever else they have and just call it WB On Demand or something.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, Krypton isn't the show to do that. It would have to be something much bigger and bolder.
Proper Superman show.
This show is not that.
Well, Warner Brothers owns Game of Thrones. Start putting that on there, and everybody's going to be streaming that service.
There you go.
Take it. Well, HBO Now, man. They could just put Krypton on HBO Now or HBO Go or whatever it's called.
Yeah, this show's great, guys. Thanks, Sean. We really this hell of a selection you got here for us this week.
Look, we couldn't find Happy. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. We couldn't even find Happy to view the rest of it.
You know, seriously though, like for example, this episode is available on Syfy's website. None of the episodes of Happy are available on Syfy's website. Here's the thing, man. I don't want to say that Syfy is a fledgling company. It's been around for a long, long time, but it's not the Syfy of, say, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's a very different thing. You got to start having some of these things available, at least behind like an easy paywall or something. But it's just, I don't know.
How are they making their money? I mean, if they don't put it on their streaming service, are people really buying these shows on iTunes? Like, I like Winona Earp enough that I would watch it, but I'm not going to pay to watch it. You know, that's the thing. So like Winona Earp, stream it except for like 5 episodes or something. If the whole, second season was on there, I'd watch it with ads, plug in your ads.
Yeah.
But they don't. And I guess they think they're leaving money on the table if they put it on there, but I just can't picture that many people buying it on iTunes or Amazon or whatever.
It just seems like a real bonehead move to where, and here's the deal, man. And I'm a guy who doesn't like ads. Infuse it with ads. You know what I'm saying? Get it tops and tails in between where all the regular commercials go. Fill it up with 4 or 5 spots, man. If that's the only way that people can watch it online and do it very easily, they'll do it, man.
And Syfy sends their Sharknado shows to Netflix. Why don't they send like Winona Earp and Happy to Netflix too?
That's an excellent question.
Brains, I don't think they've got any of them over there. That's just that's a guess of mine.
I guess when your audience is only 800,000 an episode, you don't want to water it down by having on demand.
And see, I think that's where a lot of like studios themselves just don't understand what year they're in right now. They're still doing, television like it's 1998 as opposed to 2018.
Well, Adam, I would have agreed with you on that even 6 months ago, but the way that no one really they're not making it the old way anymore. No TV executives are making TV the old way that they used to. The fact of the matter is they don't know. They want to know. They look at, where everyone is headed, but they don't know what's next because.
And I'll say that the CW's really on it. I mean, the CW is on the ball with modern broadcasting because CW Seed, totally ad supported, totally free. The CW app, totally ad supported, totally free. You don't even have to log in with a provider. I mean, you just get the CW app. You can watch every CW show and you got your ads. And they're really starting to figure out the way that streaming works. It's just like watching it when it's broadcast through the air, only it's using Wi-Fi instead of old-fashioned UHF signal or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's exactly how you do it. And, put that as an app on a Roku or Xbox or PlayStation or something, and people go, it's not appointment television, but it's regular on-demand television, but you'll go to their specific little duty app and everything and do all that kind of jazz. It works.
And CW pulled all their shows from Hulu. And I, had a Hulu subscription initially just to watch a lot of CW shows. And I was bummed. And I thought, well, I guess they're going to Netflix or they're going to do their own thing. They took it from Hulu where you had to pay a subscription and put it out there for free because they were able to reach more people. And I would have to assume in some way they felt they make more money that way than just taking the cut they get from Hulu.
We're in a very odd time, gentlemen. A very, very odd time for television.
Well, and it's about to get worse because everything's getting more and more segmented. It seems like, to go back on what you had said previously, Adam, it seems like the only company that really is still doing things the old way is CBS because old people watch CBS.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they have all of those old style sitcoms and all of their shows feel old, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
From the network that brought Murder, She Wrote and Touched by an Angel to the masses and Highway to Heaven.
Well, exactly, but even with that, even though CBS has all of these old style shows like Two Broke Girls and Big Bang Theory and all of these shows where it's just formulaic and 3 cameras and it's one set and all that stuff, then on the other end of things they have their streaming service, which is awesome. It is a very good service. We have it, and but no one knows what they're doing anymore, and it's a fun time to be alive.
Yeah, I and I'll go back to, I always stand by, if there's a show you can actually watch with rabbit ears, you should be able to stream it for free.
Oh, for sure.
But people still aren't catching on to that yet, or else Hulu wouldn't exist. But anyway, I think we've ran the well dry on Krypton. We've talked about every character. I don't know, man. I don't see, and of course anything is possible, but I don't see Segel and Lita Zod ending up together. But I think that we're supposed to have that romantic tension. I think this show we're supposed to wonder, will he go through with his marriage to that Vex lady, or will he marry the Zod lady? But I think at the end he's got to marry neither, right?
Well, for sure. Yeah, we have not met Superman's grandma yet.
Lois Lane is going to travel back in time like Terminator style. She's going to have a child and leave it on Krypton, go back to Earth and marry her own grandson.
I love this idea just as long as she's dressed like the Lois Lane from the old 50s TV show.
I want Terry Hatcher dressed like Noelle. What was her name again? Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. Noelle something.
I don't know.
Man, well, that's how this works.
Superman in the Mole Men style.
I'm telling you, I am going to really enjoy hate watching this show.
Well, good, man. We'll make it a hate watching tradition. I'll do it too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if the attractive ladies on this show can get me to watch it. I'm just like, oh, she's good looking. I'm like, well, but this story is
they lost a whole lot of the hot factor when Seg's mom got killed.
All right, so let's run this big boy on home. Before we get to actually rating this pilot, we have to check in and find out how in the world, and I'm scratching my head as to how it's going to work, but how this television show relates to our good friend Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Luke Julian is the compositing supervisor on Krypton. He works for a company called Rodeo FX, and he lives in Montreal. He also worked on Man of Steel, where he was only part of the digital effects crew. Now, I'm guessing not too many people know this, but the compositing supervisor looks down on the digital effects crew like they're worse than garbage. For example, the compositing supervisor might be all like, hey, I'm going to lunch at Applebee's and should be back in about an hour and a half. And the digital effects crew is like, oh, that sounds great. We love Applebee's. And the compositing supervisor's like, what makes you think I would ever go to Applebee's with you pieces of trash? Do you really think you digital crew losers deserve a Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp? And then the compositing supervisor walks off angrily, shaking his head and doing that disbelieving laugh. You know, the kind that sounds like, ha, ha, like that kind of laugh. Then the digital effects crew is left to themselves, looking at each other, feeling pitiful. And the smallest, youngest of the digital effects crew says out loud to no one, but I love Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp. Cajun seasoned chicken, blackened shrimp, sauteed onion and mushroom with crispy red potatoes. The best part is it's all served on a sizzling hot skillet. Applebee's is eating good made easy. Then the oldest, surliest of the digital effects crew says, shut up, Logan. And then Logan begins to sob uncontrollably. In 2003, Luke Julian was the digital compositor on a movie called Spy Kids 3D, starring a man who needs no introduction, but requires you give him one anyway, Sylvester Stallone. As you guys guessed earlier, this was not an easy find. I don't start the Stallone connection with the digital effects crew. And we've spoken about Spy Kids 3D a few times before on HMP, the most recent being the Watchmen episode, which was our 200th. I wanted to end this week by finding an awesome IMDb user review to make fun of, but I ran across this awesome review instead, and I love it. And it was written in 2005 by a user who goes by the name of Bowser13. It's entitled, It Stunk Like a Skunk. And about Spy Kids 3D, she says, I'm 7. I saw this movie with my dad and my twin sister. It wasn't very good because it was very dumb with all that driving around on the motorcycle in that place where nothing happens. Plus, it was only about the boy and the girl was really good in the other movies. This is the same thing over and over in the computer world that was really dumb. I don't think you should see it. Now, when a 7-year-old finds the need to go online to take out your movie, maybe your movie needs some changing. HMPers, there's your Stallone connection, Luke Julian. Now, I actually wrote now Mon-El, even though he's not from Krypton, and Con-El, also not from Krypton. Let's give this show the Dick Grayson it so richly deserves.
Oh, man.
Well, Con Air, let's go. All right, so here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own Batman and Robin rating system. Check that out at facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. Bruce, where does the pilot for Krypton fall for you on the HMP Robin rating system?
I wish this show was a little more self-aware, because I could enjoy that. Like if it kind of winked at the camera every now and then. Like imagine there's like something really heavy they need to move, and Seg is pushing against it, and he says, man, it would be great if there was somebody really strong around, like some kind of super strong guy, like a man who was super. If he were here right now, this would be so much easier. I would love it if they would work some little jokes in about the fact that, yes, this is a Superman show without Superman. I could get a good laugh out of that. I'll hate watch the show along with Sean, but I'm not going to try to tell people that it's a good show, man. This is one of those that I think it's like Stephanie Brown territory, but it's like I like to watch it. Stephanie Brown stuff's usually boring, but I can't give it a Damian Wayne. I hate to give it a Jason Todd, but I think it's in that so bad it's good category that Adam would say have a few friends over and a few adult beverages. I think it's kind of in that category.
All right.
So Stephanie Brown, I guess. I don't know.
Stephanie Brown, then. All right, Keenan, what do you got?
Okay, this show is terrible. This show is awful. No one should ever watch it. With that being said, I'm going to watch this show constantly, and I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to look forward to when it shows up on my feed. I could be like, oh, man, new episode of Krypton. Can't wait. Look, how are they going to embarrass me this week? Like that kind of thing. It is wretched. Everything about this show is terrible. This show is like the second worst girlfriend you've ever had. You know, it's about that level, or boyfriend. Sorry, ladies. It's like to me it is a Damian Wayne all day long, because I reserve Stephanie Brown's for shows that you instantly forget about. But there is no forgetting this show. This show lets you know that it exists. You're never going to forget that you watched this show. So for me, it is a Damian Wayne all day.
This week, you know, I've experienced a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of bad things going on, and then I watched this show and really kind of put everything into perspective. And I just, boy, oh boy, this is a Jason Todd all day long. This show is absolute garbage. There's nothing I can do to recommend it. It's boring. It's tedious. I had to slap myself from falling asleep several times, and frankly, I'd take a punch in the face and have to watch the rest of this season yet again. But it sounds like you masochists that will continue at that. But stay away. Look, it's free on Syfy's website right now. Go check it out if you want to see it. But Lord knows I can't be responsible for what you do to yourself during and after you watch this program. So good luck
Adam,
to you.
don't you have a show that you just absolutely hate, but you watch it anyway?
Not. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I guess you watch too many movies for that to happen.
Yeah,
right?
well,
I watch. You're always at the movie.
Yeah, I watch a lot of garbage movies. I'll grant you that, but even then, I'm only there for 2 hours at most. And then I walk out and I just go, "Thank Jesus, I don't have to watch any of that ever again." And so that's, you know.
I watch Gotham. I watch Gotham the exact same way that Sean watches this. I know that it's absolute lunacy. I'm watching to see how ridiculous it can get. Like, I love it because it's absolutely insane and makes no sense. And I watch it just because no matter what I expect, I'm not nearly insane enough to expect what Gotham's going to give me. So I feel Sean on this one.
There you go. So do we want to go back to Happy next week, gentlemen? You want to give that a shot?
Can you find those episodes?
I got you.
Okay.
So
He's going to act it out in a puppet show on Skype so we can watch his version.
It's gonna be glorious. It's one.
And I'm going to say to myself, I didn't think this show could get any sadder, but here we are.
It's one. It's like I got one blue sock and one really, really dirty sock.
I don't want to spoil it for you, Sean, but the plot twist in the finale is when Adam Strange shows up.
But he's wearing an Atlanta Braves hat.
He's in a Milwaukee Brewers hat, so you don't know it's him.
It's like, ooh, what a twist. So that is it, everybody. Join us next week when we talk about that. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet, sir?
Okay, it's real simple, man. I just need folks to go to Amazon.com, and you can practically figuratively, I don't want to say literally when I mean figuratively, you can figuratively fill your library with books I've written. I got 5 things for you to look for. Dragon in the Needles, Dragon in Gallus, Dragon in the Darklands.
I'm sensing a theme there. Dragons?
Yeah. All 3 of those books, man, my magnum opus, my trilogy, that it's amazing. It's epic in scope from beginning to end. It's a good ride. Also, while you're there, you can look for Chubby Wizard, Wrath of the Manticore. It's always a popular choice. It's slowly outselling the other books, which is cool. And then, of course, there's Nerdspawn, Genesis, the book inspired. It's 100%. Sean will tell you it is 100% true about our lives, isn't it, Sean?
It is completely. Do you have cameras around me or what?
So check those books out. They're all available in paperback and ebook. There's audiobooks for a few of them. Just, show a brother some love. Go check those things out.
And here's the thing. I'll say this. Buy a paperback, because if you run into us, we can sign that. I'm not signing your iPad. That's a valuable piece of electronical equipment. That's no good for me to sign. Go, come on.
I'll even sign Danielle Steele paperback. So just get any paperback and we'll sign it.
I only sign Dean Koontz books. Sean?
Where can you find my stuff?
Sure.
Where do people?
What do you want?
If you show up with a Terry Pratchett book, it's not going to be as awesome, but I will sign that for you. Also, you can find me at Hero Movie Sean on Twitter, dogeatpod.com, and look for my stuff on the TVs and the movie screens.
Very cool.
Excellent. So, and you can find me sitting in the back of an alley playing a harmonica with my bendel. We're doing all the great things there. But you might also want to check out over at the Film Find. We did an entire episode with special guest Justin Mullis talking about Pacific Rim Uprising. And, of course, we're going to have another show a little later this week.
Oh, how is that?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, nice.
We had a very good time with that. So check that out, and then there'll be a regular show later this week where we'll be talking about Steven Soderbergh's iPhone movie. Yeah, that's a real thing that happened, everybody. So we'll be talking about that and a whole lot more. So check that out at the Film Find, wherever you find finer podcasts. That is it, everybody. Join us here next week for I almost promise you, because if I promised you last week, that would have not been true. But this week, I'll try to promise you happy the second half of season 1 there. Until then, for Bruce, Leslie, Sean, Keenan, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Edie.